It is time to expand minds through movies, TV, sports, and flicks. It is time to boldly go where no podcast has gone before. It is time for the Captain Talks Flicks.
The Captain Talk Flicks.
Welcome to the Captain Talks Flicks podcast. I'm your host, the Captain Cortez, aka Mr. Love, and this is where we talk flicks. I welcome the podcast where me, the Captain, talks about movies, TV, sports, flicks, anything you can see on a two-word screen. I like to get on here and give my unique perspective, because after 47 years of being on planet Earth, I've developed a unique perspective about these movies, TV, sports, and flicks, and I like to get on and tell about it. Because just maybe you care. And according to the stats, it looks like you do care. I want to give a big shout out to Iraq. Got some plays over in Iraq this past week. Gracias, gratitude, Toraba. In Iraq, I heard you guys have absolutely magnificent kebabs. Yeah, very cool. So one of these days, I'm going to have to try out some Iraqi kebabs. So thanks for listening. I appreciate Gossie's gratitude. And just FYI, back in the day with school radio DJ, but never got a job. I think I never got a job because I just didn't have the vision. If I would have had the vision, then maybe that would enable me to become a radio DJ. But it didn't. And it allowed me to become the greatest podcast in the Matrix. Something to debate. Might be true, might not be true. But I said it on the internet. So it's gotta be true, right? Because everything on the internet is facts, not facts, true, false, propaganda, fake news, the Matrix, snow, rain, sleet, sun, clouds. I don't know. I didn't make the internet. Ask the people that made the internet. So when you're online, just beware, just watch out. Anybody's gonna randomly holiday, but it won't. Let's get right into the podcast. But first, a word from our sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, do you like rap? Well, way back in 2021, I rapped again. I dropped a song called Magic by yours truly, the Captain, rapping only the way I can. And when you hear my rap style or my crazy beats, it's like nothing you've heard before. I have my own unique way of doing my art. So if you want to hear something new that you never heard before, new style, new way of art, check it out. And one additional thing, when I do my music, I think of it as a canvas, and this is audio art. So I approach every song like I'm painting a picture onto a canvas, and it's a one of a kind. So if you want to hear the song called Magic, I will put the link below. Check it out. Now, let's get on the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I am back again. And guess what happened since the last podcast? Guess what? We got snow. I live up in the Midwest of the United States, in Michigan to be exact. And we got our first snow. It's all over the ground right now. Right now, it's all over the ground. So once I get done recording this podcast, I'm going outside and I'm going to shovel the snow for the first time this year. Yeah, shovel snow. It was bound to happen. In these parts up here, we don't say snow because it's a bad word. They're like, don't say the S word. We're talking about snow. Yeah, because we have lots of it. So far, not too much. But anyways, the first snow is here. Winter is here. Snow is here. It's cold. Brr. So yeah, we got snow. But who cares? Because now it is time to podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, I went back to the wild west one more time. Went back to horses, the lawmen, the outlaws, the saloons, the carnivals. I was there. I was checking them out. And it was absolutely magnificent. Because this week, I got to see the show, Lawmen, Bass Reeves, Part 5. Now, before I get into that, a couple things. First of all, there will be spoilers. And second of all, I do own some shares in the parent company of Paramount Plus. I just want to be clear and transparent to let you know. Now that I told you that, let's get into Lawmen, Bass Reeves, Part 5. Ladies and gentlemen, this show is very entertaining. I love it. It's great. Every episode's been fantastic for me so far. It's because I don't normally travel to the Wild West. A lot of my TV watching, movie watching is all sci-fi. I rarely go back to the Old West, so it's a nice breath of fresh air to go to a new environment. see a new world with different characters living back in the 1800s when life was tough. When I watch Star Trek in the future, yeah, it's tough because they're fighting and all that, but it's easy. They got all this fancy technology. You go to this little machine and say, make me a pie, and it makes you a pie. Back then in the 1800s, you had to make a pie physically by hand, and it was a lot harder to get the ingredients for a pie than it is now, even in 2023. Go to the grocery store, get the ingredients off the shelf, buy them, come back and make them. I'm pretty sure back in the 1800s, it wasn't quite as easy. But now in the Star Trek world, very easy compared to that. So it's just interesting to see how people live back in the 1800s. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do what I always do, and I'm going to get into a couple things in the show that I really found interesting. And first of all, I want to revisit what I talked about in the last episode where I talked about Bass Reeves and the fact that being a marshal, he is away from home a lot, and I spoke on that the last episode. And now his wife is kind of talking to him about it, like, hey, Bass Reeves, you're gone a lot, right? I know you're buying me fancy stuff, but I don't know. I mean, is the fancy stuff worth you being gone? And it made me think about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys out there in cyberspace have a family, and your job keeps you away from the family. Now you're making big bank, big money, you're making all types of money, you're able to buy all types of fancy stuff for your kids and your wife and all that, all the fancy, expensive stuff. Yeah, very cool. But is it worth not having time with that family? Because you're always working, you're providing, and that's cool, and that's respect that. But is it worth not being able to see your kids, not being able to see your wife for a very minimal time with these people? Like, these are the most important people in your life, I would think. Now, the captain, me, I don't have kids or a wife or nothing like that, so I don't really know what that feels like. But like I said in the episode where I talked about that before, I just feel that maybe the trade-off of all the big bank and all the big money that you got just might be not worth not having the time with your kids and family. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I don't know the answer to this, but it did make me ponder that. Right? What good is all the big fancy stuff if you ain't got the time, bro? Now, as a 47-year-old man, as I continually travel this timeline and I get older and older, I do increasingly see the value of time. Time is extremely valuable, right? Because it's the one resource you can't make more of. It's the one resource you spend it, you lost it, right? You can always make more money. You can get a lot of other resources back, but the time, bro, the time is extremely valuable. And I think a lot of us don't really recognize or understand just how valuable it is. And maybe the trade-off for fancy things versus time with your loved ones might not quite be worth it. Now, I'm not telling you guys or telling Bass Reeves to stop doing what you're doing, but maybe you could throttle back slightly. Just a little bit, throttle back a little bit. Have just a little bit less so you can have more time together as a family. Because like I said, it's very precious, and I'm becoming more aware of it. And so anytime I talk with people or spend time with people, I appreciate and value that a lot because I know just how precious it is. So I'll talk to people when I spend time with them. I really, really value that. And I give them my undivided attention, pay so much attention to them. I listen and just have good conversation, communications, because I understand the value of that. And so watching Bass Reeves this week made me kind of think and ponder that just a little bit more. And maybe you guys in cyberspace can kind of identify with that. I don't know what kind of job you got, what you do, but maybe you kind of live that lifestyle. And maybe you should rethink it. I don't know. I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't have a family, so I don't know what that's like. But I imagine more time with them would be better. I don't know. Is it worth the trade-off? There's cost and benefits to everything. It's something we have to figure out as humans. Is it worth it? Is it not? I don't know. If you're living that life, I hope you're able to figure that out and balance it so you do have time with your family, but also have the nice things, right? Of course, that's what we all want. So yeah, I found that very interesting in Bass Reeves. So another thing I found interesting in the episode was that Bass Reeves' daughter, Sally, went to the carnival. Yeah, she went with that guy she kind of likes. They went together. And the reason she went with the guy is because, like I said earlier, Bass Reeves is out and about and doesn't have time for his family. So the mother said, hey, Sally, go to the carnival. Take that guy you like. I forgot his name, but take that guy. So they go to the carnival. They have a wonderful good time. Nice young lady, young man, spending time together, enjoying each other's company, that young puppy love. Oh, I miss those days. Back in the days when I was a young man, I was with ladies, hanging out, doing things, that young, youthful fascination, love. Yes, beautiful days. And it's nice to see that on the screen and see those young people enjoying that in the 1800s. They're doing that. But when they were at the carnival, having fun, enjoying each other's company, They're waiting in line to do something, see something, do something. And then some little girl cuts right in front of Sally and her man. Cuts right in front of him. And then Sally says something. And then there's an altercation. And Sally just speaks her mind, lets her know, you're in the wrong. Little girl, you're in the wrong. I'm here in line first. You're in the wrong. She lets her know. She lets her know for sure. She speaks her mind, lets her know. Like, bro, you're in the wrong, little girl. I was in line first. Get to the back. So they have a little altercation. And it seemed like that was that. But later on, when Sally and her man are walking home, here comes the little girl's brother or whatever he is. He confronts them. Say, hey, I saw you earlier. Don't talk to my sister like that. I think it was your sister. How dare you? And there's physical altercation, right? Because Sally chose to speak her mind earlier. There was blowback from that incident, right? And so seeing that on the screen made me think like, we get cut in line all the time. And there's many other situations where people are in the wrong and you've been wronged, you've been grieved, right? And we have the option to choose to fire back or hold our tongue, right? And in those particular instances, what's the right play to move? Now, Sally did speak her mind, but when she spoke her mind, she was attacked later, right? And that is the possible consequence when you take those actions. Now, in 2023, you see it on the gram, you see it on the internet all the time of people making choices, and there is some blowback from that. So when you're out navigating the world, do you just turn the other cheek and let it go, or do you just go fire and speak your mind? Now, I understand in the episode, Sally was in the right. There's no question about it. She was in the right, the little girl's in the wrong. But sometimes, even if you're in the right and someone's in the wrong, sometimes the best move is just to let them do their thing, right? Now, for me, if I get cut in line, I'll let them cut. I say nothing. I barely respond to any of that when that occurs. I've been cut in line many times. And I never say nothing about it. I don't speak about it at all. I mean, whatever. It's not that big a deal to me. I'm not gonna make a scene out of it. So I feel in life in general, you kind of have to pick your battles, right? I just feel with the mindset I have now, you can't go to war over everything, right? You cut in line. Is that something you want to go to war over? Or I mean, you got to really pick and choose your battles. At least the way I look at it. And if I was in Sally's shoes with her man, I probably wouldn't have did that. But apparently, Sally decided that was the move to be made. And when she made that move, there was some blowback from that move. In any action you take out in the world, whatever it may be, you have to think about the potential blowback from that move. So I'm a very big proponent of thinking things out, to analyze, to study choices we're making. I've talked about on the podcast many times that we have to kind of study and think about the choices we will make, because they can take our life in many different directions. In this particular situation on Reeves, she made the choice to speak her mind, and there was blowback, and there was altercation, and there was a fight, and people got beat up, right? And sometimes you make choices, it can be worse than that. So we really have to think through the choices we're going to make. And somebody's got to breathe, stop, bite your tongue, hold your tongue, even though you are in the right. It's just sometimes that's necessary. So I really feel like I said a minute ago, we really have to pick and choose the battles we want to take on, right? Is this battle worth it, right? I mean, whatever it may be. So when you're out there navigating the world, just be very careful. And in this show, this is in the 1800s happening. I feel in 2023, it's way more chaotic. You have to be very careful of how you speak to people or what you do, because there can be massive amounts of blowback. I see it on the internet all the time. People out here are crazy, bro. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if there's something in the water. I don't know what's the internet. I'm not sure, man, but I see a lot of instances where people are just absolutely crazy, bro. But in this day and age of 2023, there's a lot of things happening, a lot of chaos. Just tread carefully. Be careful of the actions you take when you're out walking the world. Because you don't want to be like on Reeves, tell a lady to cut the line, and next thing you know, you're getting beat up. Not cool. Nobody want to get beat up. Not a big fan of getting beat up. So anyways, this episode of Reeves, as usual, is fantastic. And there were so many other things happening that I could have spoken on. So Reeves so far has just been filled with so many situations that just sparked ideas in my mind that I could just riff on all day. There's just so many things happening. It's a very good layered story. I see so many things in these episodes I could talk on. I usually pick a couple things to talk on, but there was many more I could have spoken on. So yeah, this is a really good show. And one last thing about shows in general, I do like watching things that spark my mind like that, to make you think deeper, more about situations. And I love shows like that. Star Trek does it all the time. Reeves is doing it as well. These are great, fantastic shows. It sparks my mind, gets my juices flowing. I think about things. I love it. So ladies and gentlemen, if you have not seen Reeves, go take a trip to the Wild West. You will not be disappointed. And that concludes the podcast. So until next time, we'll see you. Live long and prosper. Spock. Until next time, this is Captain Peace.
The Captain Talks Flicks.